Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. On alert, hospitals bracing for COVID-19 spike. What's the reason? Health officials explain COVID spike in 2 western parishes. And later, in sports, 2020 Olympic Games officially opens in Tokyo. I'm Giovanni Dennis and here are the details. The Health Minister has explained the reasons for the significant increase in COVID-19 cases in Westmoreland and Hanover. In Parliament on Wednesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said Hanover and Westmoreland were seeing a level of increase in cases that was 2 to 3 times higher than in Kingston and St. Andrew. At a press conference on Thursday, National Epidemiologist Dr. Karen Webster Carr said several issues are at play.
Westmoreland and Hanover are testing a little bit more than they were in the past. However, there seems to be a genuine increase in cases as the cases are not linked to other cases. So these are new cases coming up in the communities, and so there is an increase. On the ground, we are observing that persons are not following protocols. They're not wearing masks, not physically distant, being physically distant, and they're holding more events. They're holding more home events, especially funeral services are being held in the homes because they feel the churches are too strict.
Meanwhile, 144 new COVID-19 cases were recorded in the last 24 hours from 1,201 tests. The country's case count now stands at 51,686. This brings the positivity rate to 11.2%. 1 new death was recorded, pushing the death toll to 1,168. Meanwhile, 129 people have been hospitalized with the respiratory illness. 19 are critically ill. There are 3,368 active cases. Investigations are continuing into what could have caused a 14-year-old boy to have drowned in Brownstown, St. Anne. TVJ News visited that scene where family members and friends are still trying to come to grips with what happened. Shamala Pullen reports.
Tragedy struck minutes after 9 in Lincoln District, Brownstown, St. Anne on Thursday. A 13-year-old boy from the community drowned in his neighbor's tank. According to reports, Christoph Lynch, a student of Brownstown High, was at home when he left and went next door to play with other children who were all under the age of 13 years. It's understood that the teenage boy went into the tank for a swim but developed difficulties and drowned. Christoph's mother, 33-year-old Sherry Ann Hogarth, a domestic worker, said she was at work when she got the tragic news.
Mommy said to me, say, she just started screaming at the house. She don't know when Chris go around there. Gone over there, so because she just tell me to go take up something, maybe because I'm going on the road. They're going on the road to go and sell something. So she would have carry him to help out with the situation. Mommy say she don't go here with the children. Them over there so saying that she call and say Chrissy, when they call Chrissy and say Chrissy must come take out him brother out of the tank.
The fire department was called, and when they arrived, they drained the tank to retrieve the body. The body was removed by the St. Michael's Funeral Home pending post-mortem examination. Community members were also on the scene to show support and comfort the family.
The moment I heard, I had to just come because, as I said, I am not from this community, but they are my church brethren and my friends, even outside of, church brethren. They are good friends.
Meanwhile, the police say no parent or guardian was at the neighbor's house at the time of the incident, but no foul play suspected at this time.
The police, through our shift commander, took steps to ensure that the scene was properly secured and that, we reach out to the family members and also to contact the fire services who have been instrumental in dredging the water from the tank where the young man was alleged to have fallen. We're taking steps through our detectives to ensure that proper investigative techniques are treated with, and as such, we are allowing the investigation to go through.
Shamala Pullen, TVJ News.
As part of efforts to boost agriculture in Warminister St. Elizabeth, the Agriculture Ministry says it is committed to rebuilding the 4-H Club Production and Training Centre. At a recent tour, Portfolio Minister Floyd Green said the operation of the centre is crucial to economic growth in and around the community. Sandy Williams reports.
This charred structure is what's left of the 4-H Club's training centre in Warminister St. Elizabeth. The facility, which served the Middle Quarters community, was destroyed by fire more than 5 years ago. Operated by the Heart Trust and STA, the center was used to train residents in various skills such as housekeeping, electrical installation, food preparation, as well as best practices in agriculture. At a recent tour of the facility, Agriculture Minister Floyd Green said it was time to get the center operational once again.
It's so important because this area is a big peanut farming area, and the center used to have a processing plant that used to work with the farmers to process their peanut, to package their peanut, and to do value-added products. So it gave a market to the farmers in the area. Without it, they have a reduced market and it drives down production. We want to bring it back so we can bring back production. We already have the equipment for the processing plant. What we need is to rebuild the building.
Mr. Green says rebuilding the facility will be the ministry's next project for the coming financial cycle.
What we want to do is to construct a new center right here on these grounds. We have 26 acres here, and it's a wonderful property with arable land that's really good for peanut production, really good for cattle rearing, really good for fruit crop production. So we're going to be working and we're going to be asking the Ministry of Finance to support us.
Until then, Mr. Green says the Rural Youth Economic Empowerment Program, REAP, will be expanded to include more young people. REAP was established to provide youths with practical entrepreneurial training and certification in agriculture, agro-processing, home economics, leadership, and the environment.
This year we had our largest batch of applicants. We had 1,800 applicants for 300 spaces. So you can see this is the biggest number we've ever had, and it shows that there is significant interest. Agriculture is a valid profession, and part of what we're going to be doing at the ministry is to really communicate to people that they can choose a profession in agriculture because it can bring wealth.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And it's now time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when you return. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says there will be no restrictions on who can get inoculated when the country receives new shipments of the COVID-19 vaccine. Dr. Tufton made the announcement at a virtual press conference last evening. Sandy Williams has more.
The Health Ministry started its vaccination drive by focusing on priority groups like healthcare workers and senior citizens. The government had promised to allow those outside priority groups to get the vaccines by August. Speaking at a virtual press conference on Thursday, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton made this announcement.
For those who are waiting, I would like to say the wait will not be much longer. And the policy that is likely to be pronounced on as it relates to vaccines once those shipments come in will be to open up the vaccination program to all who qualify. So there'll be no restrictions on age cohorts. So anyone, in this instance over 18, who can access.
He says the plan is to also take a community-based approach to vaccination.
The policy will also support an approach, a plan, which we're working on, that will see us going into communities, greater outreach, using mobile units. In other words, taking the vaccines to the communities, as opposed to just doing the blitz in the traditional form of having locations where we bring people to those locations.
Dr. Tufton says the health centers will also play a crucial role in this new approach. So, just how many people will the ministry be targeting in the next few months?
We are targeting or attempting to inoculate, assuming the arrivals of those quantities, between 800,000 and 900,000 persons by the end of September.
By his own admission, it's an ambitious target, but would move the country closer to herd immunity. Meanwhile, the health minister says private doctors will also be asked to help administer the vaccines.
We would have to determine on the logistics of that, the protection of the vaccines, so the locations would have to be selected carefully. Can't be everyone anywhere they are or every private practice. But we would certainly want to engage that population. And some discussions have started along those lines as part of the overall private sector.
The government is expecting donations from the US and the UK and vaccines purchased through the African Medical Supply Platform. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
Hospitals across the island have been put on alert as they brace for a spike in COVID-19 cases. The country is preparing for a third wave of infections, with efforts now being made to ensure bed spaces do not run out. Among other things, the Health Minister will be rolling out a new field hospital. Vashan Brown has the latest update from the Ministry of Health.
The picture is still worrying. Major COVID-19 indicators still heading in the wrong direction.
Geographical spread level is medium. The bed occupancy is at high pressure. The positivity is at high transmission level.
National epidemiologist Dr. Karen Webster-Carr says the reproductive rate has increased to 1.2. Health experts have suggested that this number should remain below 1. Essentially, the reproductive rate represents the number of people that one infected person will pass on the virus to on average. Hospital admissions are also going up.
The number of cases started to decrease in March, and it plateaued earlier this month, but since the last few days have been increasing. The pink line represents the number of admissions for COVID-related admission. This has been increasing over time.
The officials in the Ministry of Health have indicated that there's no reason to be concerned. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa-McKenzie says preparations are now in high gear.
We are expecting a surge, and how high we go is really what our challenge is, but we do expect that the numbers are going to go up. So in terms of planning and coordination, all our health facilities should be in that mode now to be looking at what it is that they have prepared, looking at their supplies.
As it relates to field hospitals, the CMO says occupancy remains low at this time, but that could change with the predictions of a spike in cases. Another field hospital will also be set up. The 40-bed field hospital will be located in Maypen, Clarendon.
That field hospital is actually in country. It will be delivered hopefully by the end of this week, and then it takes another 5 to 7 days for setup. And that will give us some additional capacity in the southern side of the island. We also have a loan arrangement for 2 additional field hospitals that are in country through an arrangement with a private entity and the National Health Fund. And those 2 units are in country, and our instructions are that if the trend continues to go up, we will move immediately to utilize these.
Meanwhile, oxygen supplies have also been ramped up at health facilities.
Since then, we have in fact put in, procured through the suppliers, increased capacity in terms of the oxygen cylinders, with initially at first 200 more cylinders and then 800 more cylinders were made available, and there has been increased capacity put in place to produce oxygen at the plants.
Vashan Brown, TVJ News.
And for the latest on the economy, here's Codian Barrett with the Business Minute.
International travelers will soon be able to access a Caribbean passport that will allow for multiple destination tourism. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett made the announcement this week at the recent Tourism Recovery Summit in Saudi Arabia. He says the arrangement is a regional collaborative effort to attract more tourists to the region.
It also is going to create an opportunity for visitors who, particularly those from the long-haul destinations, coming into our space, can have multiple destination experiences with a package that offers a single price and an opportunity to move from one country to the other seamlessly
Chief Executive Officer of ice cream maker Creamy, Christopher Clark, says the company is now looking into strategic ways to reduce its energy bill. Last quarter, the company saw a 35% increase in earnings.
We have a project to install the combined heat and power plant. Expected to have a significant return on investment as far as reducing our utility costs.
He was speaking at Mayberry's Investor Forum on Wednesday. The plant's installation is expected to cost $2 million. And coming up in the Business Review this Sunday, capitalizing on the Christmas in July event, businesses are reporting a boost in revenue since being a part of the initiative. And that's it for the Business Minute this week. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
Here now is a look at the top regional and international stories.
The Minister of Health and Wellness in Barbados, Colonel Jeffrey Bostic, has revealed that some visitors to the country have been presenting bogus vaccination certificates and COVID-19 test results to avoid quarantine. He said those individuals have not been slipping through the cracks. He also dismissed any suggestion that visitors should shoulder the blame for the rise in the COVID-19 cases. Officials are expected to say soon how many visitors are among the COVID-19 cases this week. On the international scene, at least 200 people have been evacuated due to flooding. On the international scene, at least 200 people have been evacuated due to flooding in Turkey's eastern Black Sea region. According to reports, a river overflowed its banks due to heavy rains, badly affecting the district center and village roads nearby. At least 6 people died, with 2 people still missing in flooding and landslides triggered by heavy rain last week in the Rice province. And that's it for your international roundup. I'm Shamela Pullen.
And we now head to a quick break. When we come back, Simon Preston will have the Midday Sports.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. Thanks, Spencer. Now, live coverage of the Olympic Games can be seen on TVJ, TVJSN and OneSpotMedia.com. Radio coverage will be on Hits 92 FM. Let's get in some football now, as the Reggae Boys' away World Cup qualifier against the United States has been scheduled for October 7 at the Q2 Stadium in Austin, Texas. The U.S. Soccer Federation made the announcement on Thursday. The Reggae Boys will play 5 of their opening 7 games of the qualifiers away from home. Their campaign will open on September 2 against Mexico at the Azteca Stadium. Reggae girl Khadija Bunny Shaw could make her debut for Manchester City in the English Women's Super League on September 3 against Everton in Merseyside. The fixtures for the 2021-2022 season, which were revealed on Friday, will see Manchester City playing 4 of their first 6 matches away from home. The 24-year-old forward joined Manchester City last month on a 3-year deal. Manchester City finished 2nd in the league last season and will also compete in the UEFA Women's Champions League next season. The other Reggae girls who will be involved in the Champions League are Trudy Carter with FC Gintra in Lithuania and Drew Spence at Chelsea. And finally this afternoon, Manchester United have announced the signing of English winger Jadon Sancho on a 5-year deal. The £73 million move ties him to Old Trafford until the summer of 2026. Sancho scored 50 goals and registered 57 assists in 137 appearances for Dortmund. The 21-year-old, who was born to a Jamaican mother and a Trinidadian father, will wear the number 25 jersey. And that is the final whistle for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Giovanni, it's over to you.
Well, it's not quite the final whistle yet on our entire package. So the Olympics officially opened today. When can Jamaicans look forward to seeing our athletes on the track?
Yes, of course. The track and field action commences in another 6 days' time. So Thursday evening, Jamaica time, they can get their pens, their papers, their calculators out, and we can start talking about medal predictions for these games.
And for Shelley and Fraser Price and Johan Blake,
Sharika Jackson.
When do we see those people?
About Friday evening, Jamaica time. So a week from now?
A week from now.
Yeah, so set your alarm.
I will. I certainly will, and I certainly hope our viewers will do that as well. But that's the Midday News. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, the sports and the production teams, have a good afternoon.